Hi, honeys. It's Michelle. I am here today to talk to you about my grandma, Rosemary. I thought it would be really great to tell you about her legacy and the kind of person she was. I'm going to start off by giving you a little bit of just a rundown of the basics and the overview of her life, show you some pictures of her, and so on and so forth. So, here you go. Rosemary Werner was born on the 13th of March, 1927, in Suffolk County, New York. Her parents were Henry Werner and Rose Hanford. Her siblings were Harry, Lawrence, Edward, Irene, and Loretto. On the 20th of January, 1946, Rosemary married Joseph Randall in Islip, New York. She had 5 children: Lawrence, Beverly, Stephen, Edward, and Marlene. Okay, now I wanted to talk to you a little bit more in depth about her. Um, Now, before I get to that point, the reason that I'm doing this is because being into genealogy, I really love family history. And when I'm doing family history, I always wish that there was more information at my disposal about different ancestors. Now, if you do end up liking this video, let me know because I'll do it on more ancestors of mine. And if you like hearing these things, just let me know. I'd be happy to do more of them. I just find people's lives so fascinating. You just know the basic generic stuff, unless something happened to where there was a bunch of journal entries that they did, or maybe they were in a newspaper or something. It'd be hard to know much about them. Who knows? This is the year 2019. Maybe in 2050, somebody will be doing genealogy and they want to know about my grandma. And they can just watch this video. They can know so much more about her watching this. That's kind of the point of it. When my grandma got sick and it seemed like the end was coming near, I called her, and her mind was still fine. I mean, they said that she had the beginnings of dementia, but I was still able to talk to her fine. She still remembered who I was and everything. It was her body that was really giving out on her. I called her and we got to have this discussion. We talked for, I think it was 2.5 hours. Okay, baby. Sorry. And it was the best last conversation you could have with another person, I think. I was able to, she told me everything she wanted to tell me. I was able to ask her all the questions I wanted to ask her. It was really, really wonderful. Not long after that, she passed away. I want to say it was a week later, 2 weeks later. It wasn't very long. When she passed away, a couple days later, I decided to write in my journal about things that I learned from her, things about her, things that she said, just different little idiosyncrasies about her, what have you. I'm sorry, my cats decided to pick this moment to start fighting. It's got to be while I'm recording, right? Also, now it's kind of funny this is happening though, because my grandma loved cats as much, if not more than I do. I think she's who I got it from. This insane obsession and love with cats. So it's kind of funny that they're acting up while I'm doing a video about her. But, and the reason I decided to sit here in front, sit here with this background is blue was my grandma's favorite color. My grandpa said that she had eyes so blue, the whites of her eyes were blue. And it just made sense to sit here in front of a blue background when I'm talking about her. If you believe in auras and stuff, her aura was beautiful and blue, right? Everything about her was blue. This is the journal that I used back when she passed away. I said, on Thursday, December 19th, 2013, I got a call from my mother that my grandma, Rosemary Werner Randall, passed away of old age. That was what they ended up putting as the cause. To know grandma was to love her. She taught me so many things. I will always miss her voice, her laughter, her big hugs, her nurturing, her whistling, her little waddle that she had when she walked, and her kindness. And there's so many things that she taught me and or cute things that I appreciated about her. And then there's a list of them. Now, before I get to that, I have to mention when I'm talking about my grandma and her whistling, she just had this beautiful whistle, sounded like a bird, and she would, while she was doing the dishes or whatever, she would whistle. But then she would do this thing with my grandpa and me and my brothers where she would kind of whistle talk. So instead of saying, "How are you?" she'd say, right? We got to where this was our way of communicating. It was like this fun little whistling language that we would do. If I was shopping with her and she needed to find me, she would start calling me from across her store, So it's just a neat little thing about her whistling. When she would get mad, she would say, "Slock of a bia." I don't know what that means. If you know what it means, tell me, please. Is it a certain language? Because she'd say, "Slock of a bia." And I don't know if that was something she made up or if it's actually, I don't know, "Slock of a bia." Damn it all to hell. And when she was driving, if people in front of her were driving slow or anything, she would say, "Shit or get off the pot," which I always thought was cute. She taught me how to be a good wife and how to be a forgiving wife that stands by your husband. She also taught me that it's very important when you're married to, if you don't agree with your spouse about something, talk to them about it in private after you get back home, not in front of everyone when you're out and about. So it's kind of a big deal. She taught me how to love and how to nurture. Grandma was the one, when I was sick, always wanted to go to her house, you know? She just had such a nurturing, soothing way about her. She taught me not to judge and to try to help the underdog in the situation and to love the orphans, as she put it. She taught me that no matter how bad things are, you still have to laugh, smile, and enjoy the moment. I'll never forget when she had her mastectomy. On her way down to get put to sleep for her surgery, when we were just saying goodbye and she was being rolled down the hallway, she was joking around with the nurses. It's like she just found a way to be happy and enjoy her life all the time. Even on a bad day when something horrible was going on, she would still find something to laugh about and joke around about. When I talk about loving the orphans, so my grandparents were in their church choir, and I used to go to church with my grandparents. And I would sit with them and I would sing in the choir, even though I wasn't really officially a member of the choir. But after church, we would go there would be like a brunch, at the church after mass. And there was all these kids that she called her little orphans. And what she meant was, because we lived in a military town, there was a bunch of kids that didn't have their grandparents anywhere near them. physically near them. And she adopted them all as her own grandkids, right? So they all called her grandma and they come running up and give her a big hug. And I was just, everybody loved her. I always thought it was neat how she had so much love to give. It wasn't like, okay, well, I already have enough friends. I don't need any more or whatever. She was very loving towards everybody that she thought needed it or wanted it. She used to say, if they love cats, they can't be all that bad. She said, I remember I called her one time and I was crying because I was homesick. I married a guy in the military and he moved me away from being at home. And I spent a lot of time with my grandparents. And she told me that there is no pain greater than homesickness. And unfortunately, there's no medication to treat it. Boy, is that the truth. We used to go, I used to go with my grandparents and a bunch of other members of the family every Thursday. Was it every Thursday? Or it was like the first or last Thursday of the month. Now I can't remember. It's weird how those little details escape you as time goes on, but we're talking 20 years ago now, so it's hard to remember. But on Thursdays, a bunch of us would all go out to lunch. It was just so comforting to know that they were all there for me, you know? Okay. Before I start getting emotional here, she used to say, I love you, I love you, I love you. She'd always say it 3 times. Or, I love you so, so, so much. 3 so's. I just always thought that was cute. Or at night when it was time to go to bed, if I was at her house or I was leaving, she'd always give me 3 kisses and a big hug. She's just so sweet. She said that her one regret was that she wasn't close with all of her grandchildren. She felt like she didn't get to spend as much time with all of her grandchildren as she did with some of us. And she didn't feel like she was able to get as close with them, which is sad. I don't know why I'm upset. It's like, okay, while I'm doing this video, sorry. It's hard. You never stop missing some people. Um, oh, while I'm doing this video, I just got, this is so crazy to me. I just looked over and when I heard that, you heard that little ding, I saw a message. It goes, up here in the corner because I'm recording this on my phone. There was a message from my mom with a picture of a cat cookie jar. I decided to decorate my kitchen with cats. It was a cat cookie jar that had been my grandma's. And she was wondering if I want it. What are the chances of this? Oh my gosh. Okay, she loved the holidays and always cooked a ham, which I do now too, in memory of her. She hated working retail though during the holidays. My grandma worked retail, I think it was 30 years before she retired. She worked at Capwell's, which I don't know if they're still in business, but it was kind of like a Macy's or a Dillard's. And she worked in most of the time, I think, if I remember correctly, she worked in the home section where they sold like the fine china and that kind of stuff. And so she worked there up until she retired. And I think she said it was 30 years. But she hated working retail during the holidays, and people would just get so mean. There's a lot of working instead of being with your family that goes into it. And so I worked retail during the holidays a lot. It was always fun to go vent to her about different things that had happened because she always understood what it was like. She said that it's important for a person to always have something they collect because it gives you something to admire and people know what to get you for gifts. Isn't that the truth? I mean, if you think about how much it sucks trying to get gifts for certain people, you never know what to get them. They seem to have everything that they could possibly want, and yet you got to get them at least one gift a year, if not two or three, depending on who they are and what you get them gifts for. So I I just think that's so true. Now, Grandma always she collected Hummels, and I actually have her Hummel collection. I'll take a picture of it and I'll put it right here for you. But I do agree that it's a good idea to have something that you collect and that it does give people an idea of what to get you. She said that while it's a good idea to save money where you can, you only want to buy very good quality dishes, pans, bedding, and towels. Sounds like somebody who worked in the home goods department, right? But I think she's right. There's nothing worse than getting a cheap towel. You get it home, it's okay, kind of, and then you wash it, and for the rest of the time that you have that towel, it sucks. Or especially sheets. Whew, there's nothing worse than cheap sheets. So I agree with her on that. She was obsessed with tomatoes. She was addicted to tomatoes. She had to have tomatoes or ketchup in every meal. And she used to make this tomato casserole that I absolutely loved. Thank God I got the recipe from her. And she said that she got that from her dad, that her dad was addicted to tomatoes. And I too am addicted to tomatoes. And so it makes me feel so happy that it's like every time I start craving tomatoes, which is pretty much daily, I know where it came from. It's like she's still alive because she's in me. She's in my mom and my aunt and my uncle and all my cousins. It's kind of neat if you think about it, right? She said every lady should have a signature scent. And she did too. She had, well, what I remember her wearing was opium. And I remember my grandpa got her a bottle of opium every year for Christmas. Um, but I know my aunt said that she used to wear, was it Shalimar? But that must have been before my time because if I smell Shalimar, it doesn't make me think of my grandma. But if I smell opium, it does. Speaking of what to buy, she also said, do not ever buy cheap underwear or shoes. It isn't worth the hassle. Amen, Grandma. The older I get, the more I agree with you on that one. She said, the best way to make your husband happy when he is mad at you is to cook his favorite meal. Very sage advice. She said, you're always closest to your daughters and their children. And when your daughter marries, you gain a son. And when your son gets married, you lose a son. She used to love making me laugh in church. And she thought it was even funnier when my grandpa would get mad about it. Oh my gosh, the things that she would get me laughing about. And once you start, you're trying not to laugh, so you laugh harder. And then if if I looked at her, I would start laughing again, and my grandpa would get so mad. My poor grandpa. Always stuck dealing with us crazy women. This is so funny. I just thought this was hilarious. This is a classic grandma moment. She once got in an argument with a woman at church and never was friends with her again because she said that her granddaughter was prettier than me. She kept saying, that isn't possible. Yes, it is. But still, she was so pissed off that this woman, because I think part of it was the way that she did it. We were all at church. I was talking to this woman and we were laughing, and she turned to my grandma and said, "Your granddaughter is so pretty." And my grandma says, "Well, thank you." And then she says to her, "Of course, she's not as pretty as my granddaughter." And my grandma just, well, she's so mad. I just thought that was funny. It's one of those things I'll never forget. As you know from earlier in the video, my grandma's maiden name was Werner. And she said that there were certain things that are Werner traits, that Werners have sharp, unusually blue eyes, that they all have a love of cats, and that they all love tomatoes. So maybe I really am a Werner. So it looks like that's everything I wrote down. That's one thing I will say is it's really hard to sum up a person in one video in a short amount of time, and I hope that I did her justice. I'm trying to think of some other things that I could tell you about her, because I don't know if it would ever be enough, for you to truly feel like you knew her, but she was really funny. She had a beautiful voice. It was like this nice, deep, rich, nurturing voice. Oh, her favorite holiday was Easter. She loved Easter. She really got into it. And so every year on Easter, I buy an Easter lily and I light a candle for her. I remember she used to tell me, don't get married when you're young. Date a lot of people and figure out what you really want and what you really like. She said that even though she was happy with my grandpa, she always wondered what would it have been like if she had met him when she was a little bit older and she had dated other guys. And she liked playing games, like she liked playing Uno and board games and cards, which I probably got that from her too. I used to love sitting. I used to go over to her house. I was welcome there whenever, right? So if I had a bad day at school in high school or something, I would just go to grandma and grandpa's and talk to them. And my aunt, her sister, so great aunt, was over there a lot. And then her best friend was over there a lot. And it was so fun being with the three of them. I know she really loved to read too. Oh, she was just so young at heart, no matter what. Come here. You want to come say hi? Just for Grandma, because Grandma would love you being in this video. Grandma loved cats. What do you think? He's so cute, right? I love my Marty. Marty. Okay, I'll let you down. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed learning about my grandma. And if you want to see more videos like this, let me know. I will say that no matter what, they will never be this in depth, because like my grandma's the one I knew the most about that has passed on. So it's a little bit easier to really go a little more in depth about who she is and or who she was and what she liked and that kind of stuff. I hope you learned some nice lessons from some of the different things that my grandma had to say in her life and some of her different beliefs. Thanks for watching. Bye.